Bust it.
There are some elements to a short story that we're going to talk about today. Setting is the time and place, characters, plot, exposition, rising action, conflict, climax, falling action, and resolution. These are all of the things that we have talked about in that plot diagram. The first one we're going to start with is exposition. Exposition are characters and setting. Setting is the time and place in which events take place. Characters, there are main characters such as protagonists and antagonists. Protagonists are the heroes, while antagonists are usually the monsters or opposing forces. Point of view is also important in a story. It's the perspective in which the narrator tells their side of the story. There are 3 different types of point of view. There's first person, second person, and third person. Most stories that are from the first person point of view are personal accounts. Now going back to that plot diagram, we're now going to talk about all the parts of the plot. A plot is a series of events. The exposition statement is the part of the plot that tells how the story begins, such as the characters and setting. We have already previously discussed characters and setting. The rising action are the action and events that lead up to the climax, which is the most intense part of a story. And the conflict are the struggles or problems between opposing forces. Now going back to that plot diagram, the 3 last parts of the plot are the climax, falling action, and resolution. The climax is the reader's point of highest interest or intensity in the story. The falling action are the events that happen after the climax is actually revealed, and the resolution is the final outcome. In many fairy tales, when they end with "they lived happily ever after," that is the final outcome or resolution in many fairy tales. The last thing to realize about short story elements is that there is always a theme. A theme is the central message of a story. Themes are also lessons. For instance, in the story Little Red Riding Hood, she learns the lesson of not to talk to strangers. This would be the lesson or the theme in this story. So to recap, you have the plot diagram, which contains all of the elements of a great short story. You have the characters and its setting that are introduced in the exposition. Then you have all of the events that lead up to that monumental event. This is called the rising action, and there are some conflicts and struggles along the way. When you get to that climax or that monumental event, you start to fall, and this is called the falling action, all of the events that happen after the climax. When the story is pretty much done and you're trying to wrap it up, and you want to indicate the final outcome, this is called the resolution to any short story.
Just bust the move.